I have been through this for so many years. I can't tell you how long my wife and I struggled in this area for actually years. 2 years at one point, we had actually no sexual intimacy at all. I know that's a shocker for someone who's been married for 10 years now. We have 2 children, but it's true. We had a very, very little very dismal sex life. It's not because we were both mutually like, you know what, this sex thing isn't for me. No, my wife had zero sex drive and was very destructive for us because I was constantly wanting more sex or any sex and she just wasn't feeling it all the time. So this video is going to be the main tips that I use and that I help other men who are going through this exact same situation come out the other side and actually have more frequency and just a more fulfilling sexual relationship. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Benji Uyama, and my line of work is helping men just like us get through very difficult marital relationship situations, getting from very, very little sex and intimacy and having just a more fulfilling and more happy, thriving marriage and relationship beyond anything they thought possible through changing our mindset, changing our approach, and just having the more tips and tools to do that. So if that's you, feel free to check around the channel for other videos that I think you might feel are helpful for you. So for the sake of this video, I'm not going to be talking about what your wife should do, right? I'm talking to you as a man. I'm talking to you as somebody who's been through this exact same situation. Now, there are lots of things that women can do to help them have more sex drive, have better hormone balance and lubrication, etc., etc. However, that's really in their court. And if they're not really willing to do that kind of stuff, as was the case for me in my wife's situation, she wasn't really willing to do any of that research. Your wife can do all the research she wants. There's lots of good content online about hormone balance or even medication or supplements, things you can do, exercises, etc., to help increase the sex drive. And if you can get to that point where you're both looking at this as a problem that you're trying to solve together as a team, as opposed to kind of constantly butting heads against each other, but rather focusing together, is like, okay, this lack of sex drive is something that we're both struggling with. How do we address it as a team, as a married couple? If you can get there, that's good. But for the sake of this video, this is for you who your wife has a low sex drive, isn't really interested in sex at all or getting help at all, doesn't really understand your position or your need and desire for more intimacy. So these are 4 tips that helped me and are helping guys get out of this situation in a very productive way. Now, the first really important tip is having some compassion. I know this is cheesy and it's the last thing you want to hear, but hear me out. This is really, really, truly important for your wife's sake, all right? If you think about it from her perspective, especially if she had a child recently, or maybe you are really, really intimate and physical in the beginning of your relationship, but then it kind of died off, or maybe she's older, etc., etc. There are many different reasons that this is something that she's going through. It's really important to have some compassion and have some understanding that her hormone levels might be out of balance. She might be really dry down there. She might be going through some emotional turmoils in her life, some relationship difficulties with her family, with her parents, or with your parents, etc., etc. There's many different reasons why this could be happening, especially if she had children. And this was the case in our marriage, is that after my wife had our second child, or daughter, hormones just plummeted and she just didn't have any interest in sex for a number of years. And so that was a really difficult situation for us to navigate. But the key to our success was I was able to come out of just frustration, anger, and reaction to the situation and feeling rejected all the time, which I know you're experiencing as well, is rejection, but actually compassion is like, wow, she's going through something. It's difficult for her. It's something that your wife is experiencing right now that she doesn't want. It's not intentional, like she's trying to suppress her sex drive and her hormones so that you cannot be sexually fulfilled. That's not the case. I promise. It might seem like that's the case, but it's not. All right. She's going through something. And you could even go as far as to research on your own the effects of hormones and especially menstrual cycles. If you even do a Wikipedia search about the menstrual cycle, that women are throughout the month have a higher sex drive at one point during the month where they're most fertile, and they have a lower sex drive at a certain point, usually when they're literally bleeding out of the vagina, etc., etc. So there's the biochemical hormonal reason for women's sex drive, and that's actually really important to know. And this blew my mind when I actually did some research, that women are hormonally different, biochemically different throughout the month, throughout their life, after they give birth, before they give birth, when they're in their teens, when they're in their 20s, when they're 30s, 40s, etc. And the added bonus of being compassionate as a husband is that women find that really attractive. Women really love a man who is understanding, who is compassionate. And I'll get more to that in just a second. My tip number 2 for you guys, if you're going through this right now, is don't compare. You can't compare yourself to other couples in your life, or other couples in Hollywood, or other couples in, whatever you're watching online. You can't compare. All right. I promise you that every couple in the world, every married couple in the world is going through something difficult right now. Everyone is going through something, and your thing just happens to be a lower sex drive. And it will, in most cases, it usually does return for a woman if they are willing to work on it, and you're willing to work on the relationship and address this issue as well. So you just can't compare. I promise you, the couple that you follow on Instagram who's posting all these beautiful photos of them at the beach in Hawaii and with their kids, and they're always happy and smiling and sunglasses and all of that, I promise you they're struggling as well. They're going through stuff. They have been through stuff, or they will very soon. It's not all roses and sunshine for marriage and relationship. It takes investment, it takes hard work, it takes butting up against each other, and it takes growth. I'm always talking about with the people I work with and this channel that marriage, your relationship, is about growth. It is not about just happiness for the sake of happiness. It is about growth, and through growth, through progress, through every day growing and learning and expanding your capacity to love each other, you are fulfilling the purpose of your marriage, and you are growing as a human being. And through that, you experience happiness, and true, genuine, long-lasting happiness that is way beyond the Instagram standard of what happiness is. So that brings us to tip number 3, is just be more attractive, okay? The thing that you do in the bathroom, or you leave your clothes on the floor, or you don't take out the trash, or all the things that she criticizes or complains to you about, do those things better. Just be a more attractive person, okay? This is really big for women. And beyond any of that, the thing that I alluded to before is having empathy and compassion and understanding for your wife is by far the most attractive thing that you can do. Why is that? It's because of this simple fact. What women want more than anything in the world is not happiness. It is not safety. It is not all the things that generally relationship coaches and whatnot tell you. What a woman wants more than anything in the world across the board is to be understood. Now ask yourself logically, does that make sense in your relationship? Women want more than anything in the world to be understood, to have someone that has compassion, someone to be empathized with, to be understood. This is constantly why women seek out support groups and girlfriends and women friends to help them feel a sense of understanding and community. If you can be that person for them, if you can be that listening ear, you can be that person that just sits with them and enjoys the process of them venting or unwinding after the day, then you are just beautiful. You are beautiful in the eyes of your wife. You are attractive. You are sexy, okay? So remember that. For men, generally, what a man wants more than anything in a relationship is just for a wife to be happy. Men want their wife to be happy. Happy wife, happy life, as the saying goes. They just want them to be grateful all the time and happy. However, the paradox is that women don't want to be happy. That's not what they want in a relationship. They want to be understood. They want to be empathized with. And it's through being understood that they do experience happiness. And they do find that attractive in a spouse. So if you can be that person for your wife, then you will be attractive as hell. All right, tip number 4 sounds obvious, but it's not. It is put your partner's sexual needs first before your own. Specifically, what I'm talking about is you always have to be thinking is, how can I sexually satisfy her before sexually satisfying myself? What can I do there? Not only is that attractive and is something that women need, generally speaking, sexually speaking, women are like, men are like microwaves, just put me in a microwave for 30 seconds, I'm ready to go. Women are like slow cookers. They're like a crock pot. And what women typically respond to most sexually is a more slow approach to sexuality. And it takes patience. It takes self-control. Specifically, I'm talking about pornography. All right? Don't watch pornography. If you want your wife to be sexually aroused, if you want to put your wife's needs, sexual needs, before your own, you can't watch pornography. Why? Because when you are watching pornography, you are sexually satisfying yourself through the form of masturbation. You are sexually satisfying yourself through the form of watching other women that are not your wife. And therefore, you have no sexual energy left to give, to focus on your wife. That's what we're talking about, is sexual energy. not just the right things to say or the right things to do throughout the day or whatever. I'm talking about your energy as a man is sexually given to your wife. Are you giving that sexual energy to her every day throughout the day? And is she feeling that? Are you trying to arouse her and give her the sex drive that she needs and desires through just your energy? Or are you using up your sexual energy on yourself through the form of masturbation and watching porn? And if that's the case, I promise you it doesn't end well, okay? And pornography is kind of a double-edged sword because it's not only destructive to your sexual relationship and harmful, but actually is addictive as hell. The way that porn is designed is to be addictive. It's designed to keep you going and keep you coming. So if that's you, if you do have a porn habit or unwanted porn addiction, then I have other videos right here on this channel that are just for you. I help men. This is what I do, is I help guys who are addicted to porn and really struggling in their marriages and take them out of that and into a better place. All right. So if you're curious about how my wife are doing now sexually, the long story short is we struggled for years and just constantly fighting, even with kids, in front of our kids, just fighting about this issue. Is I wanted to have more sex and she was just not interested at all. And my wife was not even interested in getting help. She was not even in a place, or emotionally speaking or physically speaking, she wasn't in a place to even want to have a stronger sex drive. So it was a process of me going through these steps of having compassion, understanding of her, which I still do, and not comparing myself to other couples around me, and just being a more attractive person, and also working on my porn habit and making sure that I was putting her sexual needs before myself, and overall just being patient and committed to the relationship. I am committed to my marriage no matter what. I'm committed that no matter how difficult this situation, guys, 99% of couples, if they went through what I went through, they would have ended it years ago. They would have ended the marriage. But we are committed to this because we're committed to growth, and it never crossed my mind. Divorce never crossed my mind. I promise, it never crossed my mind, because it's always about how can I grow, how can I love, and how I can expand my capacity to love my wife. And if I can do that every day, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to do right now in this relationship. And that is happiness. That is true happiness and genuine happiness, and far beyond the Instagram standard of what happiness is. All right. So if this video was helpful, I really encourage you to smash the like button so that other guys and couples can find it, and also consider sharing and checking out other videos on this channel if you want. And I really hope that this is helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Take care.